we'll go and have a cup of coffee, an orange juice, and we'll talk about it. So we got there and I started drinking the juice. He said, tell me, honestly, think back to your week of in-house training and then compare it to what you did. And you did role plays during that week. And then compare it to what you've been doing for real in the marketplace. And tell me, honestly, is there anything that you weren't doing, or was there something that you were doing that you shouldn't have been doing? So I thought about it for a few minutes and I said, well, I'm probably not very good at asking questions, because that was a big lesson. He harped on it during the training time and time again. And he said, yes, you're right. And he said, why were you not asking many questions, if any? I said, well, it's probably because I'm very nervous and I'm scared of what the person's going to say. He said, bingo, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. You cannot move forward unless you solve this problem and you banish those demons from your thinking. I said, okay. And he said, there's one other thing that you weren't doing that we taught you. Or if you were doing it, you weren't doing much of it. It wasn't very good. You did it. The first one I did with you, you did do a little bit of it. It wasn't great, but at least you did it. The second one, you just abandoned everything. It's like you jumped ship mentally. I said, what? And he said, you didn't tell any stories. You didn't tell any stories. What did we teach you during that training week? You make a core point, then you illustrate with a story. So if you end up making 3 or 4 core points during the presentation, you're going to share 3 or 4 stories. I said, right. Yeah, it was a confidence issue again, boss. It was a confidence issue. I just didn't feel I was good enough to tell a great story. He said, all right, that's the thing. So you've got to fix those 2 problems. Number 1, you've got to ask more questions, and above all, wait for the answers. Do not fill the void with your voice. You don't say anything. The first person who talks loses, in a way. They weren't going to lose, but we wanted the prospect to answer the question so that they could benefit from the process. So that was it, a bit more of a pep talk, etc. He left me to it. He said, look, go home. It's only lunchtime now. It's barely lunchtime. You go home. You think about all of this. It's up to you. But I hope you'll get in the car tomorrow morning by yourself and you'll go out to the appointed area. You'll take on board everything that we've talked about. You will implement, and sooner or later, sometime tomorrow or the next day, you are going to make a sale. I said, okay. So we said goodbye. I went home, thought about it, wrote some notes, told my mum, blah, blah. Then went out the next day on the Tuesday. Didn't get a sale on the Tuesday, but by that time I was galvanized because I did ask questions and I did tell some stories. And because I practiced on Monday afternoon at home, I did tell some stories and they were pretty good. They were delivered well. So I thought, I've got these 2 elements. I've got these 2 elements working properly. So now it's just going to be a numbers game. And so I just pressed on regardless, then went back on the Tuesday, and then I made my first sale. And from that point, everything got a lot easier. I started making more sales, and I just the confidence boost, my shyness reduced dramatically. Just so, apart from the money that I made, is just at a psychic level, phenomenal benefits that have served me well ever since.